Welcome, wanderer of stories. You have stepped into echoed enigmas, where every tale holds a heartbeat, and every whisper hides a truth. If these are the stories you've been searching for, subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a secret waiting to be told. Now, take a deep breath and let the echoes begin.
The white lace of Amara's wedding gown lay draped across the mahogany bed, a shimmering white monument to the future Nkechi craved. Amara, the intended bride, was gone. Not run away, but secured, hidden deeply within the walls of their family compound, silenced by a powerful, odorless sedative Nkechi had procured weeks ago. Today was her day now. She stared at her reflection, quickly applying a darker pigment to her cheek, perfectly mimicking the tiny birthmark that distinguished her flawless twin sister. The differences between them were subtle. Nkechi possessed a sharpness in her gaze that Amara lacked. But today, that ambition was a weapon, not a tale. "You are Amara," she whispered, pulling the heavy, coral-beaded necklace over her head. The bells of the mission church, Obinna's family church, began to chime, a solemn, impatient rhythm calling the bride. The pressure of time was immense, but Nkechi felt a cold calm. She was replacing her sister not just for Obinna's wealth, but for the respect and status Amara had always effortlessly commanded. Their mother, weeping and distraught over Amara's sudden illness, had forced Nkechi into the dress, terrified of the shame the Obinna family would bring upon them. Nkechi merely smiled, tying the final knot on the traditional ichafu. She wasn't saving her family. She was saving herself. The convoy of cars wound slowly through the village paths, kicking up red dust that settled on the brilliant white lace of Nkechi's gown. The noise was deafening. Drums thundered a joyous welcome, and the village women sang and ululated, rushing to touch the bride for good fortune. Nkechi played the role perfectly, lowering her gaze and offering the gentle, demure wave Amara always used. She felt the heavy weight of expectation, not just from the crowd, but from the ancestors watching from the surrounding Iroko trees. This deception was sacrilege, yet exhilarating. The church courtyard was a kaleidoscope of vibrant Ankara fabrics, the cream and gold colors of the Obinna clan dominating the entrance. Mama and Papa flanked her, their faces masks of strained anxiety, fearful that Obinna's mother, the formidable Eziada, would detect the deception. Nkechi inhaled deeply. Eziada herself greeted them at the church doors, her eyes, usually hawkish, softened by the solemnity of the occasion. "Mwam," Eziada murmured, clutching Nkechi's hands. "You look radiant, my child." The compliment meant for Amara settled on Nkechi like a crown. She returned a shy, perfect smile. The disguise held. She just had to walk the aisle, say the vows, and the rest of her life would be secured. The heat was stifling, but Nkechi's determination was icy cold. The grand oak doors of the church swung open, revealing the long, velvet-carpeted aisle leading to the altar. Obinna, statuesque in his crisp white agbada and matching embroidered cap, stood waiting,
his face alight with an expression Nkechi realized was genuine adoration. Adoration meant for Amara. A sudden, sharp spike of guilt pierced her, quickly overridden by the intoxicating rush of victory. The organist launched into the bridal hymn, and the procession began. Nkechi took slow, deliberate steps, focusing on the movement of her hips beneath the restrictive lace to mimic her sister's graceful gait. Every village elder, every family member, and every rival young woman watched her ascent. She could hear the whispers of admiration, the praise for the Nwokedi family's beautiful daughter. She noticed Chief Odogwu, Obinna's aging, influential uncle, watching her with particular intensity. His eyes narrowed. Was it suspicion, or just the usual scrutiny of a wealthy family evaluating new kin? She dismissed the fear. She had studied Amara for 25 years. This impersonation was flawless. As she reached the final step, her father gently placed her hand into Obinna's. Obinna's grip was firm, warm, and possessive. "You are breathtaking, Amara," he whispered, his breath warm against her ear. Nkechi met his eyes and offered the innocent, loving nod of a true bride.
The ceremony moved swiftly. The air in the packed church was thick with incense and expectation. The officiating priest, Father Ekweme, a man respected throughout the entire clan, reached the pivotal moment of the rites. If anyone here knows of a reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, let him speak now or forever hold his peace. A deep silence descended, the only sound the nervous rustle of silk and lace. Nkechi held her breath, her pulse hammering against the coral beads at her throat. This was the point of maximum risk. The silence stretched, agonizingly, until Father Ekweme, satisfied, turned back to the couple. "Then let us proceed to the vows." Nkechi released her breath, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor of triumph running through her. She was safe. She had won. As Obinna began to recite his vows, his eyes locked sincerely on hers. Nkechi let her guard down for the briefest second. She noticed a flicker of movement near the back, by the choir stands, a small dark figure pushing through the crowd. Then a low, rasping voice, heavy with accusation, cut through the sacred silence like a machete. "Stop! Stop this sacrilege! The woman standing at the altar is not Amara!"
The interruption caused a collective gasp that shook the rafters. Obinna froze mid-vow, his expression moving from confusion to cold fury. The source of the voice was a frail, elderly woman, Mama Agnes, the family's trusted seamstress, clutching a scrap of white lace. Obinna's mother, Eziada, rose instantly. "Agnes, what is the meaning of this madness?" she demanded, her voice dangerously low. Mama Agnes, however, ignored the matriarch, pointing a trembling, wrinkled finger directly at Nkechi. "Look at her hand, Eziada. Look at the ring." Nkechi's blood ran cold. She had perfected the birthmark, the smile, the walk, but she had forgotten the one tell that could not be easily concealed. The beautiful, intricate gold wedding ring Amara had worn for the traditional engagement ceremony, which was supposed to be transferred today, was not on Nkechi's finger. Nkechi wore a smaller, less ornate silver band, a hidden marker of her own secret commitment. Obinna followed the seamstress's gaze, seeing the thin silver band glinting under the altar lights. His hand, which had been holding hers, instantly dropped away, as if burned. "The ring," he breathed, his face draining of color. Amara would never remove her Igbanku ring. The exposed silver band was proof enough the woman before him was a deceitful impostor.
Total chaos erupted. Eziada shrieked. Father Ekweme raised his hands for silence, and Obinna advanced on Nkechi, his eyes blazing with betrayed rage. "Where is Amara? What have you done, you witch?" he roared, the sacred altar now a stage for scandal. Nkechi did not flinch. She knew this moment was inevitable. The victory lay in her next move. She raised her chin, shedding the persona of the meek Amara and revealing the determined woman beneath. "Amara is safe," Nkechi announced, her voice calm and carrying, silencing the commotion more effectively than the priest's warnings. She then delivered the devastating twist, aimed directly at Obinna's powerful family pride. "I did not lock her away to steal your future, Obinna. I locked her away to save your family's honor." She paused for dramatic effect, letting the words sink into the stunned silence. "Ask her why she removed her engagement ring last week. Ask her why she was secretly meeting your rival, Ike, the man whose property you are currently seizing." Nkechi's gaze swept across the crowd, landing on the suddenly ashen-faced chief Odogu. Amara didn't run away. She was preparing to expose that she is carrying a child, Ike's child, and planned to announce it at the altar, thereby tying the Obinna name to your enemy's seed forever.
The new revelation shattered the initial shock. Obinna stared, his fury instantly diluted by horror and political panic. Ike's child? The thought of being publicly cuckolded by his family's bitter rival and having that shame cemented by a village announcement was a catastrophic nightmare, far worse than a simple substitution. Eziada, the proud matriarch, staggered, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle a cry. The scandal Nkechi revealed was the sort that would destroy the Obinna name for generations. Chief Odogu was already muttering into his phone, clearly trying to manage the public relations disaster. Nkechi stepped toward Obinna, her voice now a low, seductive whisper that was audible only to him. "I saved you, Obinna. I prevented the great shame. You have a choice now. Announce that the bride has had a sudden, terrible sickness and send everyone home, and spend the next year explaining why your intended bride gave birth to another man's child, or you can marry me, the lesser sister, the one who knew the secret and kept it, the one who is clean, undamaged, and standing right here." Obinna looked at Nkechi, seeing not a replacement, but a shrewd, tactical ally. He clenched his fists, the necessity of the moment crushing his pride. He needed a wife today to cover the shame Amara had planned.
The tension in the church was unbearable, palpable. Obinna looked from Nkechi to his mother, who was now weeping silently, understanding the impossible choice. His reputation, his family's standing, and his current property dispute with Ike all hinged on his next action. Marrying Nkechi, the lesser twin, was a humiliation, but it was a private humiliation compared to the public disgrace of acknowledging Ike's child. He took a staggering breath and reached for Nkechi's hand once more, the silver band suddenly seeming insignificant. "Father," Obinna announced, his voice ringing with forced command. "My bride, she has been confused by the excitement of the moment. We shall proceed." He turned to Nkechi, offering a look that was less love and more a venomous contract. Nkechi gave him a small, chillingly confident smile of victory. Eziada, seeing the decision sealed, hastily adjusted Nkechi's veil, a signal of reluctant acceptance. Father Ekweme, sensing the shift in power and the imperative to restore order, cleared his throat and continued the vows, replacing Amara's name with Nkechi's in the script. The substitution was now consecrated. Nkechi had walked to the altar an impostor, but she would leave it as Mrs. Obinna, having secured her future through the ultimate act of scandalous, manipulative heroism.
A timeless lesson from the village altar. When the smoke of scandal clears and the drums of judgment fall silent, we must ask ourselves, is the victory worth the rot it leaves behind? The story of Nkechi teaches us that while ambition may seize the crown, a throne built on deceit is merely a prison plated in gold. True self-worth, the kind that endures the ages, is not found in the titles we steal or the secrets we bury, but in the unwavering courage to walk our own path with truth. For the ancestors always remind us, what is won by shadows must forever fear the light. Seek not the reward of your sister, but the strength within your own spirit.
And so another echo fades into silence. For now, what truth did this story whisper to your heart? Share it with us in the comments below, for your words are what keep these echoes alive. If you haven't yet, subscribe and ring the bell. Let your heart be ready, for the next secret we uncover is never far away. This has been Echoed Enigmas, where every ending is simply a new beginning.